I See You Newer by Ray Bradbury. The soft knock came at the kitchen door, and when Mrs. O'Brien opened it, there on the back porch were her best tenant, Mr. Ramirez, and two police officers, one on each side of him. Mr. Ramirez just stood there, walled in and small. "Why, Mr. Ramirez," said Mrs. O'Brien. Mr. Ramirez was overcome. He did not seem to have words to explain. He had arrived at Mrs. O'Brien's rooming house more than 2 years earlier and had lived there ever since. He had come by bus from Mexico City to San Diego and had then gone up to Los Angeles. There he had found the clean little room with glossy blue linoleum and pictures and calendars on the flowered walls, and Mrs. O'Brien as the strict but kindly landlady. During the war he had worked at the airplane factory and made parts for the planes that flew off somewhere, and even now, after the war, he still held his job. From the first he had made big money. He saved some of it, and he got drunk only once a week, a privilege that, to Mrs. O'Brien's way of thinking, every good working man deserved, unquestioned and unreprimanded. Inside Mrs. O'Brien's kitchen, pies were baking in the oven. Soon the pies would come out with complexions like Mr. Ramirez's, brown and shiny and crisp, with slits in them for the air, almost like the slits of Mr. Ramirez's dark eyes. The kitchen smelled good. The policeman leaned forward, lured by the odor. Mr. Ramirez gazed at his feet as if they had carried him into all this trouble. "What happened, Mr. Ramirez?" asked Mrs. O'Brien. Behind Mrs. O'Brien, as he lifted his eyes, Mr. Ramirez saw the long table laid with clean white linen and set with a platter, cool, shining glasses, and a water pitcher with ice cubes inside it, a bowl of fresh potato salad, and one of bananas and oranges, cubed and sugared. At this table sat Mrs. O'Brien's children, her 3 grown sons, eating and conversing, and her 2 younger daughters who were staring at the policeman as they ate. "I have been here 30 months, said Mr. Ramirez quietly, looking at Mrs. O'Brien's plump hands. "That's 6 months too long," said one of the policemen. "He only had a temporary visa. We just got around to looking for him." Soon after Mr. Ramirez arrived, he bought a radio for his little room. Evenings he turned it up very loud and enjoyed it, and he had bought a wristwatch and enjoyed that too. And on many nights he had walked silent streets and seen the bright clothes in the windows and bought some of them, seen the jewels and bought some of them for his few lady friends. And he had gone to picture shows 5 nights a week for a while. Then also he had ridden the streetcars, all night some nights, smelling the electricity, his dark eyes moving over the advertisements, feeling the wheels rumble under him, watching the little sleeping houses and big hotels slip by. Besides that, he'd gone to large restaurants where he'd eaten many-course dinners, and to the opera and the theater. And he had bought a car, which later, when he forgot to pay for it, the dealer had driven off angrily from in front of the ruling house. "So here I am," said Mr. Ramirez now, "to tell you I must give up my room, Mrs. O'Brien. I come to get my luggage and clothes and go with these men." "Back to Mexico?" "Yes, to Lagos. That is a little town north of Mexico City." "I'm sorry, Mr. Ramirez. I'm packed," said Mr. Ramirez hoarsely, blinking his dark eyes rapidly and moving his hands helplessly before him. The policeman did not touch him. There was no necessity for that. "Here is the key, Mrs. O'Brien. I have my bag already." Mr. O'Brien, for the first time, noticed a suitcase standing behind him on the porch. Mr. Ramirez looked in again at the huge kitchen, about the bright silver cutlery and the young people eating and the shining waxed floor. He turned and looked for a long moment at the apartment house next door, rising up 3 stories high and beautiful. He looked at the balconies and fire escapes and back porch stairs and the lines of laundry snapping in the wind. "You've been a good tenant. Thank you, Mrs. O'Brien," he said softly. He closed his eyes. Mrs. O'Brien stood holding the door half open. One of her children behind her said that her dinner was getting cold, but she shook her head at him and turned back to Mr. Ramirez. She remembered a visit she once had made to some Mexican border towns. Hot days, the endless crickets leaping and falling or lying dead and brittle like the small cigars in the shop windows.
and the canals taking Roudouard out to the farms, the dirt roads, the hard, scorched scape. She remembered the iron mountains and the dusty valleys and the ocean beaches that spread hundreds of miles. No sound but the waves, no sand, no buildings, nothing. "I'm sure sorry, Mr. Ramirez," she said. "I don't want to go back, Mrs. O'Brien," stayed Miss Ramirez weakly. "I like it here. I want to stay here. I've worked. I've gotten money. I look all right, don't I? If I don't want to go back." "I'm sorry, Mr. Ramirez. I wish there was something I could do. Mrs. O'Brien," he cried suddenly, tears rolling out under his eyelids. He reached out his hands and took her hand fervently, shaking and wringing and holding on to it. "Mrs. O'Brien, I see you never. I see you never." The policeman smiled at this, but Mr. Ramirez did not notice that they stopped smiling very soon. "Goodbye, Mrs. O'Brien. You have been good to me. Oh, goodbye, Mrs. O'Brien. I see you never." The policeman waited for Mr. Ramirez to turn, pick up his suitcase, and walk away. Then they followed him, tipping the hats to Mrs. O'Brien. She watched him go down the porch steps. Then she shut the door quietly and went slowly back to her chair at the table. She pulled a chair and sat down. She picked up the shining knife and fork and started once more upon her steak. "Hurry up, Mom," said one of the sons. "It'll be cold." Mrs. O'Brien took a bite and chewed on it for a long, slow time. Then she stared at the closed door. She laid down her knife and fork. "What's wrong, Ma?" asked her son. "I just realized," she put her hand to her face, "I'll never see Mr. Ramirez again."